In order to know the door business, you've got to know where the door is used. You got to know how to hang a door. Yesterday, I was out on a job teaching 3 new builders how to properly install the door. I had to slow them down and say, it's not about speed, it's about doing it right.
Windows and doors, I've always loved them because they're hard. People find them scary because they're difficult. If you get a window order or a door order wrong, it's expensive. So the stakes are higher, but also that means that you can make more margin, you can help people more on things that are scary for them.
I think that's very important to understand your product and be able to go out to a job site, whether it be a homeowner or a contractor, and share with them what you actually see that's wrong and show them how to fix it, okay? Because then you become valuable to them and they're going to buy from you again.
Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Couch. This is the spot where leaders talk about the stories, strategies, and systems that win in the building industry. We unpack how leaders and brands build their reputations and become unmistakable. Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Couch, and today I'm coming to you live from Grit Studios in Clayton, Georgia, with my friend and colleague, Michael Tull from Tull Sales. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And you actually are also a neighbor because you live nearby in the sticks in Northeast Georgia, just like me. Tell me a little bit about where you're from.
I live in Cleveland, Georgia. It's a beautiful small town in White County. I went to college there a long time ago, and I decided I had to move back up there. I had so many friends all across the whole county, and everywhere I go, I know somebody, and the small town atmosphere is just wonderful.
Well, and we actually have a lot in common, but we did not know each other until maybe, about a year ago. A lot of friends in common, a lot of loves in common, including the door business, which I don't know if I've ever met anyone that likes doors and loves doors as much as me until I met you. I'm pretty sure you might have more years of love in it for sure, but you've been in the door business a long time, and we have some customers in common, and you live in the place where I grew up in Cleveland. So pretty cool that we have so much in common. We may be twins. You need a hat. That's all you got to have, and then we'll be twins.
You know, I started in the door business when I was 17, and I'm close to 72 now. And it's been the most wonderful business meeting people like you who have the same passion for doors. Makes your whole life complete.
Yeah. And it's fun because doors are one thing, but it's on every single house that gets built. You've got interior and exterior doors, got windows on every house. So no matter what kind of house you're building, whether it's big, small, $100,000, $1 million, you got to have a front door. So I'm excited to talk a little bit today about the business that we both love and just about the industry. I want to kind of go back to what you've seen in your career. You are actually a manufacturer's rep. So you and your dad had a business. You've done a lot of different things in the business, but you actually sell product to distribution, which is where I used to work, two-step distributors, and then you help them go out into the market and help sell that to dealers through the product that you're selling. So tell me a little bit about the manufacturer's rep business, because I've actually never interviewed a manufacturer's rep on this show before. So for those who may not know what that means or what that is, tell me a little more about that.
Well, I represent 6 different companies. Each one is an independent, standalone business, and I try to keep the product lines related to the door business. Mm-hmm. Okay. For example, I sell weather strip, door sweeps, door panels, door hardware, and all of it can go to the same customer base, but comes from different manufacturers, depending on what their specialty is. Okay.
And what is the difference between, a manufacturer's rep and someone who works for the manufacturer just directly for them? Like, what's the difference, and why do one versus the other?
Well, let's be real honest. It's about income, okay? And a manufacturer's rep is going to be up earlier than a company person and stay later, okay? Because without sales, you don't have any revenue.
Yeah. Sales solves all sins, and it also pays the bills pretty good when you're by yourself like we are trying to make it happen. You got to get up early, right?
It certainly does. And you learn to depend on your customers. They become your best friends. Mm-hmm. And you try to share with them everything that you're doing with the product line to help them grow their business, because it makes your business grow.
Yeah. We were actually introduced to each other through a mutual friend and customer of ours who I used to work with at another place. You sell them stuff, have sold them for years. And talking about relationships, it is really interesting. Everybody says this is a relationship business. And no matter what happens with tech or AI or all these things, I still believe it's going to be that way. Now, we might do relationships a little different. Like you probably text people now. You probably didn't do that 20, 30 years ago. But it's still about who you know and how you build those relationships. You are a really great relationship builder. I've seen that. I've witnessed it myself. Tell me a little bit about how you build relationships with people, because I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially maybe the next generation that's trying to figure out how to do so.
When I have a new customer, I try to find out what their interest might be, whether it be hunting, fishing, sports, whatever. And I might not have the same interest, but I'm still going to share with them. And like I said, I try to turn my customers into my best friends.
Yeah. What happens when you have someone that maybe is not your best friend as a customer? I'm curious your approach on that, where you like them okay, but they're not your best buddy. What do you do then?
I have people that work with me, then I might turn them over to them.
Okay. That's smart. But, I think that's the thing. Actually, Ben and I have had that happen. There's some customers that I'm going to use a really super country term. We don't jive. We don't, we just don't get on with each other, like not the best fit. And then they love him. And so I'm like, here you go, hon. This one's perfect relationship for you. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm very different than him. So they may not like me, but they love him. And that's a good thing about having a team.
Absolutely. Some of the people that work with me, I can pass off a customer that gets along with them perfectly, where I might have a different opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're talking about you're building a business as a manufacturer's rep, you've got 6 different lines and you're out there, but they all correlate with each other, which I love that you've done that, because I do know a lot of manufacturers reps sometimes sell things on all different product lines. So it makes it a little harder. What is the customer base that you're selling to? So just to explain to people who maybe don't know, you're selling to who, and then what is their end user?
Well, like with fiberglass doors that I sell, we sell those to 2-step distribution, which means they're going to buy by the truckload from me.
Yep.
They got to bring it into their shop, add value. They bore for the lock, prepare for the hinges, put it in a frame, make it into a door unit. That can go 2 different ways. It can go to a dealer who's going to add more value and sell it to a builder with a window package perhaps, or it could go straight to a production builder, who buys by the truckload door units, multifamily type operation.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, 2-step distribution, that's where I kind of cut my teeth after I left my dad's lumberyard. They buy a lot of different things from you guys, but the Plastpro plant, which I was actually at last week with you, it is such a huge operation, 1 million square feet of new building. And then you guys have 275,000 square feet of old building that's been there for a long time, making doors every day in Ohio, in the U.S.
That's correct. We have probably about 125 employees there, and we can make probably over 1 million doors a year, 100,000 doors per month.
Wow.
At that plant.
That plant is very automated. So I've been through a lot of manufacturing plants. Some are pretty automated and have a few people at certain machines. Some, they have people everywhere. This plant is probably the most automated door plant I've ever been in. Was that something very intentional from the get-go, or did y'all iterate that as you went?
When we first put together the plan to build a plant in America, we were located in Ashtabula County, Ohio, because that's one of the hotbeds for fiberglass production. In fact, I think it's the number 1 county in the United States for fiberglass products that are manufactured there. Anyhow, we knew that we had to make a plant that was automated. Labor has gotten harder and harder to get. So we designed our plant to have 3 different assembly lines. One that would make a door about every 20 seconds, a second one that makes a door about every 45 seconds per minute. And to do that, you got to have automation, and you want to make the same product over and over so that they're all A grade and you're not creating any waste.
And you guys also have a really nice pre-finish line, so you can actually pre-finish. One of the things that I think about a lot is, as labor does get harder to find, the pro contractor is going to have a lot more say over what they do in the field, and it's going to be harder to get a contractor to come to your house to paint one door if you're just installing one door, if the painter has to come just to do that door. So buying a pre-finished door where they can come and install it, it's done, it's already painted or stained, that's a huge value add for the contractor, because they don't have to do it and they're still making margin on it. For the homeowner, they get a 5-year warranty. I think that's one of the biggest opportunities in the door market right now, that I don't see a lot of dealers and distributors really taking advantage of the pre-finish opportunity. What do you think about that? And how can we get more people to see that as an advantage on the contractor side as well?
Well, with the pre-finish, I've been fairly successful with it in the Southeast market. Most of it has gone into multifamily. If you think about it, a door gets hung on the job. It requires a prime coat and 2 top coats. That's 3 trips to a job for one door.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do all that in our factory in one pass, and it comes out, like you said, with a 5-year warranty on a finish that's super tough, and it's going to last.
And not to mention, if you're here in Georgia today, where it's going to get 8 degrees tomorrow, you're not painting a door in 8 degrees because that's not ever going to finish up the right way. So you might not even be able to do that right now. You might have to wait. And then unfortunately, a lot of people just don't finish their doors and then they have warranty issues. So if you're watching this and you're not sure, you should finish all 6 sides of your door immediately when you get it.
Very true.
You can pay me for that little endorsement later, warranty people. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really big opportunity. So if you're a dealer, a distributor, and you're trying to figure out how to make more margin, how to sell more high-end products, pre-finish is a great opportunity that also does really add a lot of value to the end user, the homeowner, or the contractor as well. So I love that you guys are doing that. And you can paint any color. So if I want hot pink like my chair,
you give me your color, we match it up and give you a sample first, and then you approve it, and then we paint it that color.
Well, you already know that my color is going to be hot pink. There's no question, really.
No question about that, Stephanie.
I do ask every manufacturer I go to, can you do hot pink? And sometimes they say no, and it's very disappointing.
It's a shame on them.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about the future of where you think the industry is going, and I would like to just get some of your hot takes. So a lot of people are worried about, we have a lot of people in this industry that are older. They've been in it a long time. I mean, both of us are old timers now. I've been in it over 30 years, selling lumber since I was 6. And I think about that a lot. Like, how do you replicate the knowledge that it takes 3 decades of selling doors, windows, whatever you're selling in the building industry? How do you replicate that with the next generation?
I'm not completely sure, but I do try to share with the younger people what my knowledge base. And I teach them that in order to know the door business, you've got to know where the door is used. You got to know how to hang a door. You need to teach a builder how to install a door properly. Yesterday, I was out on a job teaching 3 new builders how to properly install the door. And I had to slow them down and say, it's not about speed, it's about doing it right.
Well, and you said that door was a 12080, so 12 feet wide by 8 feet tall. That sucker's super heavy, very big to even be handling. That's a big door, and the doors keep getting bigger. I mean, when I was selling doors when I was at my dad's lumberyard, it was basically like a 3068 or maybe a door with side lights, maybe a double. There was no 12080 door. They didn't even really exist. But now they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Well, Stephanie, when we built our plant in Ohio, when I mentioned that we had 3 different lines, the automated line was only for 6'8" because that was the majority of the doors.
Yeah.
Now, probably 50% of all the doors we make in Ohio are 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
And we have the ability to make a 10-foot one.
In certain markets like Florida, I mean, they're all 8-foot doors pretty much. I mean, almost everything you see is 80.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
And we see the 10-foot tall doors coming and pivot doors, which are wider than 3 foot.
Yeah, those are big. I mean, we're both going to IBS in the next month. I know pivot doors were huge last year at IBS. And then again, the wide 12, 16 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet tall, 12 feet tall. How do you teach someone to install a door like that?
Well, I'll use yesterday as an example. There were 3 men, and they wanted to put the door together and stand it up. And I said, no, we need to put it together laying down on the floor until we have 2 of the panels in, because it's going to be too heavy. Because you got to keep the door frame square so that it's installed in the wall square. And then you got to have it plumb and level so that the door will operate properly.
So, okay, for non-door nerds, what does plumb and level mean?
Plumb is straight up and down, and level is like the floor. It's got to be flat. Okay, it can't have any humps in it.
What happens if the floor's not level?
You're not going to close the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the first step. You got to have a level floor. You got to make sure you do certain things to make sure it's level before you even put it in. I actually had a very, very nice house that was like a $12 million home that we were doing some work media wise for this customer. And they were like, hey, do you have these pictures? And I said, yeah, sure. Send me these specific pictures of this door. I'm like, oh no, that's never good. And they're like, yeah, they're saying this is not right. Well, it turns out that the floor was not level when the door was installed. These people just provided the door. They didn't install it. And they had to go back after the house was fully finished. Sheetrock's done. Everything's done. People are in the house and it just would not close right. It was binding. And it was a 12080. And so they had to take the full door out and take some concrete and sand it down and then reinstall that door because the concrete was not level when it was installed. So,
and when that happens, a lot of times the first person who takes the blame is the door manufacturer. Yeah. It's the door. My door won't open. My door won't lock. My door won't close properly. I've got air leaking around my door. Well, that's usually an installation problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it, especially like at the top, I've seen it a lot, and I know you have too. The door won't close right. It's sagging. A lot of times it's something really simple, like let's put some 2.5-inch screws in the top hinge, and it'll pull it back up, and it'll fix the problem. But that's why people like you, we've seen a lot of stuff on jobs. We've seen a lot of stuff in emails saying, hey, this is your door manufacturer being wrong. A lot of times it's not, and it's a simple solution. So people like you can train those little tricks of put a 2.5-inch screw in the top, hinge, see what happens, and maybe it fixes it.
One of my new best friends, I bought a laser level. So when I get out of my car and a contractor sees me walking up to his job,
straight fear.
He says, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a laser level. We're going to tell if that wall is."
It's your worst nightmare, my friend.
That's right. We're going to make sure your wall is plumb, because if your wall is plumb and my door's hung properly, we're not going to have a problem.
I went out on a claim one time with one of my outside sales reps, and we got out there and the door was, binding or something. They're saying the warp door or whatever it was. And they had installed it with no shims, of course, and with 18-penny finish nails. And it's like, guys, come on. And again, they knew right when the rep came out, they're like, if they know what they're doing, this is going to be denied. And we showed them how to fix it. But one of the things you've told me a lot is that you actually help people fix it. So not that you're doing warranty repairs, but you tell them what the problem is and how to make it better, which I love.
All right. I think that's very important to understand your product and be able to go out to a job site, whether it be a homeowner or a contractor, and share with them what you actually see that's wrong and show them how to fix it. Okay. Yeah. Because then you become valuable to them and they're going to buy from you again.
That's true. And if you have something that is a commodity product, which, there are differences between door brands, there are differences between window brands, but it's an item that a lot of people compete on price in some ways. That value of what you're talking about, that's how you keep business for years and years, which is what you've been able to do. If you had a new sales rep, if I was riding with you for the first time and I knew nothing about really anything, sales, doors, what's that process look like of training me?
I've done that several times, Stephanie. I've hired people that I knew were going to be good salespeople, but I had to take them to the job site. I literally take them to a house under construction and start talking about everything that has to happen in the construction process, so that you understand the window and door openings have to be done correctly. It starts with the rough opening. And if you get the rough opening right and then get the door or the window installed right, you're never going to have a callback. Yeah. And I try to explain that to salespeople, that you want to become your customer's best friend and be able to talk the language, talk the talk with the contractor, and you should actually be better than the contractor. The contractor's got a lot of responsibilities from the foundation through to closing the house.
So true.
He or she might not pay as much attention to the detail as you will because you're the door expert.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about niching down. Listen, I do a lot of stuff with different people and I love all building products, but windows and doors, I've always loved them because they're hard. They're difficult. And people find them scary because they're difficult. If you get a window order or a door order wrong, it's expensive. It's not like a bundle of 2x4 studs that get ordered at 8 foot instead of 9 foot pre-cuts and you just pick them up and resell them again the next day. It's not like that at all. So the stakes are higher, but also that means that you can make more margin. You can help people more on things that are scary for them. And again, every single house has to have windows and doors in it. So I've loved that part of the business. But for people that do shy away from it because of that, do you think exterior doors is a good place to start if you're going to try to learn that specialty millwork category? Because you've sold windows, you've sold doors, you've sold it all. What do you think is a good starting point for somebody, like if they're going to try to dip their toe in the water?
Well, exterior doors are a great place to start versus interior doors. Interior doors are more of a commodity and they're sold on price.
Yeah.
Exterior doors today, we have a lot of opaque doors and glass doors, and we can cross all the spectrums from quality starting, at a low end on up to the finer homes are going to have a lot of doors in them, a lot of exterior doors, particularly. It's not unusual in a fine home to see 8 or 10 exterior doors.
Yeah. The average when I was selling doors at distribution, I think it was like 3 per home, but that's average in the U.S. Like a lot of the houses you're selling, like you said, 8 to 10 doors, and they might be $10,000 to $20,000 sometimes, or maybe more than that. Some of these big, huge doors are way more expensive than that. So the margin is huge on what you could make on one job.
It absolutely is.
And we like that.
Yes, we do.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about building a business from scratch, because we're both entrepreneurs. We both grew up in entrepreneurial houses, and we've talked a lot over some of our time together. We traveled together a little bit about how fun it is and how difficult it is. What advice or what thoughts would you have for someone like me that's only 3 years into the business on how to endure, what to do, maybe some lessons you wish you had known before?
Well, like I said early on in this conversation, you got to be willing to get up early and stay late. As an entrepreneur, your job is just never done.
Yeah, and empires are built before dawn is a saying that I like to think about, because while people are doing whatever they're doing on the weekends or in the early mornings, if you're out lead generating or whatever on LinkedIn, or you're sending emails, or you're catching up, it's going to make you eventually more successful because you're putting in that extra time. So I think you have to be willing to just go way harder than you would be if you're collecting a paycheck.
Well, one thing, when you're building a business, like just use the door distribution business as an example, you go in, you make a relationship with your customer, get them comfortable buying your product. You service them really well. I have a saying that I've always used. It's show and tell, watch it sell. If you don't, it won't. So if I leave something in my car and don't take it in on a sales call, that means I'm not going to push that product.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always am conscious about, why am I going in to see someone? What am I going to talk to them about? What is my goal to leave that place with? Is it going to be an order? Or I also like to use the term keeping it sold. Okay, so the way you keep things sold is you do what you say you're going to do. And if your manufacturing company is behind, you call your customer and tell them, we're behind. If you got a particular week where you can jump ahead, you're going to call them and say, I would encourage you to do this week because we have an advantage right now. Yeah,
that's really the communication part of it. And having hard conversations up front before they call you is huge advice. I mean, that's a really great point right there, because it's going to go bad way worse if you don't bring it up. Like, the Band-Aid's going to get ripped off. You might as well just rip it off either way. I think that's really good. One question I have for you is, what do you do when you have something really go wrong? Like during COVID, obviously production times for everyone in the industry was crazy. It was just a crazy time. How do you handle stress like that when things are going wrong, but you need to keep it together for your customers and for your team? And I think about that a lot with my team and not letting them see you sweat as much. What do you do?
Well, during COVID is a good example. We were, let's say our normal lead time was 4 weeks. Then we jumped out to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks.
Wow.
When you get out that far, and the competition was as well,
yeah,
you really got to stay close with your customers and encourage them, even when they're discouraged, to go ahead and place the orders to stay ahead and keep them from running out of doors, because we're in the door business. People depend on us for doors. Okay.
Yeah. What about when you have a salesperson that, if I'm a young salesperson, how do you handle objections? Your price is too high.
When you're selling value.
Yeah.
Okay. So when someone says your price is too high, against what? I'd like to see, what am I selling against, so that I understand, is my price really too high, or am I talking about an apple versus an orange?
Yeah. Sometimes your price is too high, but a lot of times it's not the exact same thing. Yeah. And sometimes I found in my career that sometimes that matters to people, and sometimes they like oranges and apples just the same, and they'd take an orange if it's cheaper. Sometimes you're not going to sell a person that higher value thing for every single job. Maybe they need a steel door versus a fiberglass in that certain whatever. I don't know why you'd ever want a steel door, but some people do for some reason.
That's true.
Do you agree that you don't know why anyone would ever want a steel door?
I used to sell some steel doors before I sold fiberglass, so I can't talk really bad about them. I started off selling just wood doors.
Yeah.
And then in the 70s, a wood door was the dominant door in the market, and steel doors started coming out, and they were double the price of a wood door. Well, over by the middle of the 80s, a steel door became half the price of a wood door.
Yeah.
Okay, so I pretty much had lost a lot of my business. That's why in the 90s, I was looking around for something new to do, and I found the Plas-Pro fiberglass door was coming to market, and they had only plans to make fiberglass doors, no steel or wood. I felt like that was the next generation, and I felt like also it was going to be, I would be able to give customers a better value because you have a door that's going to last the lifetime of that house versus a wood door is going to be replaced. A metal door more than likely is going to get dents, dings. If it's on the coast, it's going to rust out.
Yeah, very quickly. Within like a year sometimes. It's crazy. Well, when you're looking at trends and things, like I said before, IBS is coming. Anything exciting that you see in our industry? I mean, you just talked about a pretty big change from wood to steel to fiberglass. You see a lot of different things, but anything exciting that you see in the trends coming?
Stephanie, I know that you're going to see some new things at the IBS show. Some of the things that we are working on currently, they've been out in the market for many years, but we're improving them. For example, mini blinds. They're installed between the glass. We now have a third generation that we'll be showing at the IBS show that uses solar panels to raise and lower the blinds.
Yeah, it's really cool. I saw it last week. So when you're looking at a blind, they're just for somebody that may not know what we're talking about, you've got this blind inside the glass, which has been out, like you said, for a long time. They've recently, in the last few years, made them where they can be made in a flush glazed glass where it's made into the door. And you got this magnet. It's kind of on the side. It's kind of annoying. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to tilt it a certain way to raise and lower and then to tilt. This thing has a remote control. Can I give away that it's Alexa smart home?
Yes, you
smart
can.
home. So I gave away a secret there, but like, hey, Alexa, close my door blinds. Boom, done. So I was pretty blown away when I saw it, and you have them in black and white. So if you want a black door with black blinds, you don't have to do black door with white blinds, which is really cool because black doors are so popular now.
Well, another innovation that we'll be showing at the IBS show is a new glass that switches. So the same thing, you can say, Alexa, please close my door.
Yeah.
And the glass will change from clear to frosted.
Super cool. And that way, if you have like a exterior that at night you drive by and you can see inside your whole house, you can just switch it.
You can switch the glass and it'll become frosted.
My dog wouldn't like that very much because she couldn't see all the people outside at night that she likes to bark at. What would she do?
She won't have everybody to bark at.
We'd have to just switch it right back for her. Well, I'm excited to see all of these new products at IBS. I always just love walking around because there's so much buzz and energy. There's contractors everywhere. There's people in our industry that are selling doors, selling windows, selling all the things. It's really a fun time. It's in Orlando, so hopefully it'll be warmer than it is here today.
Yeah, we're forecast to have 6 inches of snow here today.
We better get out of here before we get locked in the studio forever. Well, I'm excited to be your colleague, your friend. I'm really just excited to learn from you because you're probably one of the wisest people I've ever met, business-wise, but also door-wise. So it's very rare to have someone that I trust from an entrepreneurial standpoint that also knows doors. So thank you for all you've done for me and taught me, and your lovely wife as well. She's awesome. She's here, and we both have spouses that work with us that we'll say work with us and put up with us, really.
Put up with us is the right
truth.
thing. Right.
I know that's the truth for me. But it's great to have that support as well. So I'm just always grateful for people like you and her in my life. So thank you so much.
Stephanie, we appreciate everything that you do for our industry as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Grit Blueprint podcast, and we will see you on our next episode. Thank you for listening to the Grit Blueprint podcast. If this episode helped you think a little differently about how to show up, share it with someone in your building world who needs it. If you're ready to turn visibility into growth, then head to gritblueprint.com to learn more and book a call to talk to us about your growth strategy. Until next time, stay unmistakable.